everybody, Andrea from Cani Confiance here. I have been putting together over this week a couple of videos. It's going to end up being, I hope, just 2 YouTube videos, hopefully, on placement training. So I've been promising this to quite a few clients for a while. Thank you for waiting patiently for me to put this together. So placement training, sometimes called mat training, can also be called static position training. And what is it? Okay, so it's basically asking our dogs to jump up onto a place. And that place could be a bath mat, it can be a raised platform, it could be a raised bed, it could be a towel on the floor. But what it represents basically is one specific place where you would like your dog to hold a position. It has some great applications. It is debated a little bit in the dog training world, but I think it depends. I think people's problem with it potentially is it depends what you're using it for and when you're using it as well. So what I'm not using it for, and what I'm not suggesting in this video to use it for, is to enforce calm, to enforce a dog to stay in one specific place in order to try and make them calm down. That's not what I'm using it for. I'm using it in my house for a couple of different reasons, actually. We use it specifically with a multi-dog household, good lad, for being in the kitchen. So for example, my dogs, I have quite a few, as you know, food motivated dogs. They would like to be in the kitchen with me, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm happy for them to be with me, but I really don't need them to be under my feet, which could be potentially dangerous, especially if I'm carrying hot food, etc. So in order for them to be in the kitchen with me, but to not be underfoot and to be safe, without using crates or physical barriers like baby gates and things like that, I use placement training so that my dogs can be with me, but they are on their place, generally their bed in the kitchen, but somewhere specific, out of the way, that's safe. The other thing that I use placement training for myself is we use it with Freddie here when we're doing our kind of free flow obedience work. So we'll use a platform, or again we'll use a pad or a mat, and we'll use it for sit stays or down stays or even stand stays, just a static position that he has to hold onto a mat, so hold on on his mat, on his place, until he gets the cue to be released from that and to generally run towards me and do a middle. So that's a couple of the applications that I use placement training for. It is really good mixed in with other exercises, and it has to be mixed in with other exercises for helping dogs use develop impulse control skills. It's mixed in with other exercises that we use. It's not the only one, and that's quite important, but it is a good one for helping dogs develop impulse control. You have to be careful when, particularly with teenage dogs and adolescent dogs, that you are specifically choosing the correct time to train that, when it's not going to cause your young dog more frustration. It doesn't mean, however, that placement training doesn't have other fantastic applications. One example of another trainer who I saw using placement training in a different way is the fantastic Karen Pryor, and she was using placement training, but she was using it as an environmental safety cue. I will post that link to her video where she was breaking that down as to how she put that together and developed that, and I'll post that here so you can go and see that done by the master. So in this first video, you're going to see me working with Mocha. Mocha is my brand new rescue. I say brand new, he's halfway through his 2nd month with us, so he's had lots and lots of decompression time, just getting used to our family, integrating with these other dogs, and just getting used to routine and life in a household. But I have done absolutely next to no training with him. The boy doesn't even sit. But hopefully people who know me now know that I'm not really an advocate for sit. It doesn't bother me. I'm not bothered. So I'll be working with Mocha. And the good thing about this, for this video in particular, is that Mocha is, as I said, brand new. So you'll be able to see it from the very bottom rung of the ladder, and how I build it up right from scratch with Mr. Mocha. What you will see a lot of in the video is how much I value choice as part of this teaching this exercise. So particularly to begin with, I'm doing Freework. So Mocha has no lead attached. He does have a nice collar on just because it's pretty, but I am not using the collar or using a lead to maneuver him onto the place and force him to be on it. You'll see the same in the second video, where I'm using Ava for the second portion of the exercise. So Mocha is going to be the very bottom rung of the ladder, the brand new introduction to placement training. Ava is round about the middle. I've done a little bit with her, but as I say, if you guys know me, you'll know that Ava is what I call my free range Frenchie. So I do bits and pieces with her, but I don't do a lot of training. I just kind of let her be. So for her, she's at kind of medium ground, which is perfect. She has an idea of it and a concept of it, but I haven't developed it very far with her. So that's perfect for you guys to see all the stages of development. What I hope you guys really take away from these videos as well is that you can see how positive reinforcement makes the behaviour that we're looking to shape more likely to occur. So when it's used correctly, we don't have to use any punishers, we don't have to use any physical force. The positive reinforcement itself, when applied the right way, is what replicates that behaviour and makes that behaviour, we're more likely to see it more often and for it to be offered freely from our dogs. So I hope that you can see that in the video, and as I said, how we use shaping in order to kind of achieve that. If your dog is not opting back in to this training, that they're really reluctant to come back to physically get on the mat, you really have to stop and assess why that is, okay? So don't get frustrated yourself. Don't think that they're being disobedient. I want you to really take the opportunity to stop and think, well, what is it about this setup that my dog is really not enjoying it? Particularly for example, if you're asking your dog to hop back on when you feel like they've got the concept and they don't want to get back on the mat. There could be multiple reasons for this, and some of them really might actually surprise you. For example, Freddie here, he loves platforms. Platforms are all fine. But if I ask him to get on a soft surface, a mat, a bed, a cushion, something like that, and it's soiled or dirty, Freddie won't get on it. So I could have refusals from Freddie because he doesn't like the smell of it. I know it seems crazy, but honestly, he's always been like that. He doesn't like dirty blankets. He particularly doesn't like it if he can smell another dog's urine or something on it. So for him, that could be a refusal. And there's no point in me getting annoyed or frustrated at him that he won't get onto something or onto a place when I'm cueing it or asking for it, if it's because he really doesn't like it. So you've got, as I say, it can be funny reasons. It could also be that they don't like the texture, or maybe they are just feeling suspicious about it. Maybe there's something else in the environment going on that's distracting them, and that they're not comfortable with, and it's not actually the place itself. Or maybe they just genuinely don't understand what it is you're asking of them. So yeah, there's definitely a huge part to placement training, which is about us reading our dogs and really taking the time to observe them and assess what it is that might be making the behaviour less likely to occur. Okay, so it's definitely a good one for observation about learning about your dog, and what it is, as I said, that is making them uncomfortable or making them unwilling to come and participate. With young adolescent dogs, for example, it could just be that they're just feeling far too fuzzy to perform that particular behaviour right now, and they might prefer to do something else. But on the flip side of that, it could also be that your dog is tired. Fatigue is a huge thing for dogs to not want to continue with any kind of obedience work or following cues, is because they're tired. And they can tell us this in lots of different ways, that they just don't feel like doing it right now because because they're fatigued. So yeah, there's lots of elements to think about, especially when you're doing free work, which make it really interesting. But why is my dog not happy to continue with this? And what can I do to change that, to help them? So that might mean abandoning the exercise completely for that day while you step back and think about how you can tweak things, how you can do things differently to make the behaviours more likely to occur so that you can reinforce them and then see more of them in the future. So that's probably enough chat from me, and hopefully that has given you enough of an introduction of what we're going to be doing. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to cover absolutely everything under the sun to do with placement training, but I'm really trying my best, especially with showing you the two sections, the bottom section and the middle section, particularly in real time, with real dogs at different stages, with different skill levels, so that you can hopefully see some of the problem solving that goes on. You're definitely going to see when the dogs make mistakes. I don't think of it like that, but the good thing about that is that you can see hopefully how to address those mistakes when they occur. Okay, I want you to really be able to hopefully come away with this with an idea of the mechanics of it, of the pace, of the treat placement. That's Freddie saying enough chat, Mum, as well. And just the general flow of how this exercise goes. And I think with regards to that in particular, I want to remind you guys to slow down, all right? Do not rush through this, because remember, you're taking your time to observe and analyze what's working for your dog, what's going to make the behavior that you're looking for more likely to occur, and building it all these little stages up, little building block at a time. And that's what's going to end up giving you the success that you're looking for. That eventually, if you do it nice and slowly and observing your dog and helping them out, setting them up for success, then you'd be surprised at how far, how quickly you can get if you're prepared to take the time. So keep it short, keep it light, keep it fun, and end on a good note. All right, Munchkin, we're going to get started. Thank you. Thank you. So before we get started, I'm going to talk about the place itself, okay? Now, especially when you're starting off at the beginning, I would suggest that you make this place is super obvious. So this is a slightly raised memory foam bed and a waterproof padding. That's just an example, okay? You could use a bath mat, especially if you want the place or the safe place or wherever it is that you are using this as the application of this training for, that you might want it to be mobile. I can't put this in my purse and take it to a pub or take it to a cafe if that's what you would like placement training for, okay? So maybe a bath mat with a waterproof bottom that you can roll up and take somewhere so that you can take it to different environments. Maybe a raised bed, which is really nice and obvious. Some trainers even use platforms, so like maybe, this kind of depth, I don't know what that is, 5 inches maybe a bit less of a platform, so that it's raised off the ground, so it's really obvious for the dogs they're actually stepping up onto something, so it's different from the ground. If you're just going to use a mat, that's absolutely fine, but I would like you to keep in mind that it has to be super obvious for the dogs. Think about what they see, the colours that they see in and everything. Think about the texture. Is it too similar to the carpet? Are you making it too difficult for the dog? Is it not an obvious difference of texture? And in addition to that, it's a little hint, but your dog is more likely going to be happy going on and off something if it's comfortable. Okay, so that's just another little thing to think about. If you want to get a bath mat, maybe get something that's a little cozy, especially if you're going to ask them to be on there for longer and longer durations. For example, in the kitchen, I have a raised bed with cozy blankets on it, so that it means that when we're doing longer durational waits on their place, they can get settled and snuggle down and they're perfectly happy to spend a lot of time there. And I will show in this video, as I said later on, I'll show examples of the placement training that I have now in place for the kitchen. So you can see how that works for my dogs in that situation, that they're happy to snuggle down and they're happy to stay there for longer periods of time while I'm working, because it's a comfortable place to be. Okay, so that's another thing to think about. From my perspective. For example, I wouldn't ask my dogs to do a durational down on an upturned wooden box, even if it's nice and obvious that I want my dogs to be on that as opposed to the ground. They're not really likely to stay on it for long because it's not comfortable. Okay, so it's just, what are you using it for? The upturned box would be perfect for his obedience work, but not perfect for the kitchen. Okay, so there's just a couple of different things to think about. So as I say, to begin with, for Mocha, I'm starting with a nice, obvious, good boy, darling, good boy. Nice, obvious, raised pad. As I say, it's waterproof. That's just because we're working in my slightly indoor-outdoor training area here. And it's really different from the floor. So this is carpet and this is this kind of waterproof material. So we'll see how he gets on. Nice, good job. Okay, so here I am with Mocha. Mocha is a Staffy Mastiff mix. He's a recent rescue. We got him at the beginning of January. I have done basically no training with him at all. Getting him interested in the food. I'm just starting with my 2 treat toss, which happens to include a little bit on the mat so he can explore the surface a little bit. See that it's not a scary surface, that he doesn't need to worry about it. So while I'm talking to you and introducing him, I'm continuing with that, okay? So I'm just throwing a little bit of food on the mat and he can get off it freely, as you see. And when he comes back to me, yes. And then the treat goes the other way. Okay, so as I say, Mocha is 9 years old. Yes. No idea about his experience before, no idea about his training before, although he doesn't sit. Mocha doesn't do sit. And as I'm sure you guys might know about me, I don't care. I'm not bothered. If he offers it, great. But he doesn't do it on cue, I'm not bothered. Okay, good lad. So I'm just building a little bit of rapport with him to begin with. That every time he comes back and engages with a bit of eye contact, yes, he gets a mark and it goes off to the side. So letting him kind of, just as I say, so no prior training, so this is really good for doing with puppies, or if you're a brand new beginner to placement training, then Mocha's the perfect example, and we're going to see what we've got. Okay, so for 2 treat toss, and this is just to introduce him to the object in the room. Also, he's putting his front paws on it quite readily. That's a really good sign that he's not intimidated by it, because if your dogs are terrified of the surface or showing anxiety about the surface, you might have to revisit that and have a little think about it, okay? It might mean that you have to do a little bit more habituation work with the surface and showing them that there's really nothing to be worried about before you go on to these stages that we're going to attempt to do today. So if he goes and has a little look, that goes out into our garden. It's like big double doors that you can't see just off camera. So I'll give him a second, let him think, let him have his little beats, and let's see what his decision is. And I might have to prompt him with an attention noise, and that's okay, but let's just wait and see first. Yes, good boy. So it's lovely that he's putting his front feet on the mat, and that's a really good start. So because he's holding the position, yes, I'm going to mark and feed him a couple of times on the mat. Yes. So we're going to do multiple rapid fire treats, yes, while he's got his feet on it. Yes. Yes, free. So essentially, what we were playing there was the up-down game, okay? That's another link that I can put in the video below, but we were doing up-down with his paws on the mat, okay? So that's one way of doing it, just literally putting the food on the mat where he has to kind of put his feet on it, yes, in order to get the treat. And then when he's on the mat, yes, oh, my timing was off there, that's all right. He's just having a sniff. Yes. Then I'm playing up down with his feet on the mat. And by that I mean every time he looks at me, yes, he gets a mark and he gets another food. Now notice where I'm putting the food. I'm putting the food on the mat, not into his mouth, okay? He's just having a little think about what's behind here. There might be some noises or some sniffs. There's sometimes mice in this shed. So again, I'm going to give him a second to think. I don't expect us to be there yet. Some dogs at this stage, depending on how quick problem solvers they are, good lad, might think to already put their feet back on the mat. If he doesn't, that's okay. In fact, it gives me more opportunity to show other ways of doing this. So snuffling around it. Good. Lovely. So I'm going to manoeuvre my body slightly. Yes. And this is the other way I want to show you about encouraging them onto the mat. Free. And move this ever so slightly towards you so you can hopefully still see it. Okay, so if I manoeuvre my body a little bit. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. So try moving your body around the mat and see how much that encourages them to follow you. Good lad. Let's see what he does. Yes, good boy. Now I showed him the treat. And that was just to get a little bit more manoeuvrability. So we're experimenting a little bit with what works here for Mocha. So I'm going to take it away. Yes, good boy. Well done. Before I lose his attention or his enthusiasm, free. Now you'll notice I've introduced the off command or the free command straight away. Okay? It doesn't matter because the dog's already going to follow the treat as you throw it away from the mat. So just make sure it's a good sized piece to begin with so that your dog can track it easily with their eyes, and make sure it's really obvious when you're throwing it so your dog goes, oh, there's the treat, and they follow the treat. So I'm saying free and then throwing the treat. He's already quite, and because they're already going to follow the treat whether you say something or not, you don't have to say free, you can choose another word, but because the dog's going to follow the treat, free, whether you say the word or not, you can introduce it straight away, okay? So we've done a little bit of putting the food on the mat. Yes, good boy, he's picking it up already. We don't have the back feet on yet, that's okay, one step at a time. Glad. He's like, hey, you said yes. Yes, where's my treat? There. And you can also practice with manoeuvring your body and see how it influences your dog's movement, okay? Every time you reposition yourself, it influences your dog's movement as well. See that? Okay, do you see how he's moving? There you go. Good boy. Okay, if all of that fails, good boy, Mocha. If all of that fails, we can do a little bit of luring, okay? My advice about luring onto the place or onto a box or onto a surface is that if you have used luring, good boy, free, in any other way that has introduced conflict to your dog, maybe luring them into something that they didn't want to go into, maybe a crate, maybe luring them into the vets where they then didn't have a good experience but they wanted the treat, then your dog might not have a positive association with luring. It makes them suspicious because of their learning history, okay? So if you try to lure your dog onto a place and they're all of a sudden not into it, you can tell that it's making them a little bit suspicious. So I would go back to making luring a positive exercise before you attempt to lure back onto the place, okay? So let's see what Mocha thinks about it. He's got, again, no background of luring, so it shouldn't be negative, but let's just see. Nice. Yes. Good. No negativity with that. Perfect. Yes. Good boy. Gorgeous. Yes. Now the one thing I have noticed, and this is, again, it's really good for you guys learning, yes, is that this surface is actually not big enough for Mocha. It's not really easy for him to manoeuvre his back legs onto the mat while his front legs are on it. So there you go. Forethought, people. Look and learn. Free. Good boy. So this is your beginning stages of just getting them comfortable, and also this is where the good stuff is happening, all right? So we're helping him understand that when he's got his paws on this, that's when he's getting the rapid fire reinforcement. Good boy. So you can also use hand touches. So if I was to put my hand here, and your dog can do hand touches, again, remember, no learning history, so he doesn't understand that, okay? Just wanted to see if he would just be curious enough to come over to my hand. But if your dog, good lad, free. If your dog is used to hand touches, you can then ask your dog to move on to the mat by putting your hand across it, okay? Good boy. Very nice. All right, so out of all of those kind of potential ways of introducing your dog to the mat, the place, the platform, whatever it is you're using, I can now assess that Mocha is doing well with just placing the foot on the mat. Yes. Okay, and all I'm going to do, because now he's got his back feet on as well, so that's the one that's worked best for him. Yes. We're going to play the up-down game on the mat a couple of more times. Yes. Good boy. Yes. Good. And putting value on the place. Yes. I'm waiting for him to look at me. Yes. Free. And I'm giving him the opportunity to get off, okay? So this is all the introduction, especially if you have pups that are suspicious or they're just not sure about a new surface. I say pups, Mocha's 9, okay? So I use pups as a kind of slang for kind of all dogs. It could be actual genuine puppies though. Yes, good boy. Now while I was talking, Mocha came over and put his front paws on the mat himself. That is the magic moment when they think about, how do I get this to continue? And as you notice at these beginning stages, yes, we haven't, good boy, I haven't said mat, I haven't used a hand signal, nothing, okay? This is just introductory, so it's nice and slow. Yes, good boy. Yes. Let's see what we've got. This is going to tell me a lot about my new dog and tell me about not just his problem solving skills, but how much trust we're building, if he's suspicious about this process, if he's motivated enough by food or the engagement. Good boy, darling. Good lad. He's dribbling a little bit, which tells me he's definitely into the food. Nice, good job. That was a little tentative step towards the mat, and I'm pretty tempted to reward that, but I do know he's been with us almost 2 months. I do know he's a smart boy, so I want to give him the opportunity to just do a little bit more. So if we have a bit of a stalemate, I'm going to move my body a little bit again and see if this helps him out. So he's kind of going side to side, but not forward. So again, I'm going to see if I can encourage him. Yes, good boy, well done. So a little bit of a noise and a little bit of putting my hand down. Oh, okay, that's where we're going. That's where you'd like me to be. Yes. Now this works for me fine, because what it means, that the fact that he's following my hand onto the mat, means that I can start to introduce a hand signal to kind of give him a hint. And we're not going to introduce the verbal yet, but the hand signal is going to help him out. It's absolutely fine for me. Yes, good boy. Yes. Yes, free. So that's the beginning stages of just introducing them to the mat and introducing them to the surface. And you might have pups that have just got this straight away. Oh, this is where the good stuff happens, when my feet are touching the surface. and we're going to eventually make it, it's got to be all 4 feet and not just the front feet. But when my feet are touching the surface, I get paid, okay? So that's what we want. In some pups, as I say, you might do a little bit of experimentation, as we've just done in this short session. Yes! Sometimes just a little bit of waiting, good boy. Because he did that by himself, I was perfect led on to what I was just about to say, so that some dogs might just hop straight on because they're putting 2 and 2 together, okay? And when they do, I'm just going to do what we call a jackpot and give them rapid fire treats, and you'll notice I'm not even marking. I was just like, awesome, well done, yes, and then I'll go back to marking. Good, free. So you'll have some pups that even after doing that, just this short session, they're like, oh, I get it, that's where you want me to be, perfect, and we've started our placement training, okay? Sometimes just a little bit of waiting to let them think about it and let them problem solve without constantly cueing them or hinting or luring, alright? Be careful with that luring. Good boy. I want to see if he does it again. I'm very curious and excited by that. You're a good boy, darling. Good lad. And I can still talk to him and encourage him and tell him how well he's doing. The fact that he's choosing to still be in the room with me, you can see how focused he is. Yes! Good boy! So I'm going to do jackpot because he did it himself without me pointing or putting food on the mat or luring or anything. So jackpot for him. Well done, baby. Nice, good dog. Good boy. Free. The last thing I'm going to note before, because this is enough for Mocha today, this is enough for the beginning stages, okay? If your pup goes further, then I'm going to use Ava, I think. Maybe Ava or maybe Freddie to show you what the next stage would look like. I'm not going to push Mocha today though, okay? But what I was going to say, and this is very important guys, that when your pup, good lad, free, when your pup is practicing with this and experimenting, I know it's tempting, but when he stepped on the mat himself, or any other time when we're doing this, do not reach for your dog and give them a big fuss, okay? They're thinking, they're busy, they're thinking about paw placement, this is a brand new exercise, they've got a lot to focus on and a lot going on. It's not the time to be roughing and fussing and touching them. I can almost guarantee you, if you did this as a little experiment, they step on the mat themselves that first time and you go, good dog, he did one paw, nice, nice. And you go, good dog, and you reach for them and fuss their head or their neck or their body, they're going to go, oh, 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 and they're going to step off the mat, okay, before you've said free and throw in the treat. So keep your hands to yourself, let them be, let them coordinate their own body without interference when we're doing this, okay? It's a lovely exercise to just, and a lovely freedom exercise to just let your dog be, let them figure stuff out. It's not, we don't need to have physical affection at this point. We've already got reinforcement in the form of food and praise and engagement, okay? Good boy, look at you waiting there for all that time. Free. Okay, so that was awesome for Mr. Mocha. Good lad. I'm chuffed to bits with that. Yeah, you're so beautiful. You are so beautiful. Good man. Good man. Let's step right and see what we've got. Yes! Good boy. Well done. Nice job. And our last one, free. And we're all done. And I'm going to pick the mat up and throw it away. Good boy, baby. Good boy, baby. Good. Nice job. And now I can fuss him. Well done, my love. Well done. That was awesome. What a good stuffy you are. What a good sausage you are. Did you like that? Did you? Did you like it? You did? Okay, good. Okay, so for the next stage of taking it a little bit further, we've got a dog that's happily going on the place. As you can see, these tiny little steps, you know, I like my tiny little steps. So when you've got a dog that's happily going on the place, Who have we got? Okay, so I think that I'm going to make the second video. I might make multiples because this is already a little bit long. Where the dog is comfortable, completely comfortable going on the playset, going on the platform, and we're going to start to build in the duration that they're on the platform for, and also the distance to the handler. Okay, so when your dog is staying stationary on the place and you can move away from them, so we're adding duration and distance. Okay, and then perhaps in the video after that, or in the same video, depending on the length, we'll then add distractions. So whether we're doing it outside or whether we're doing it in the kitchen, which can, for me, combines all of the 3 training Ds. The duration on the place, because I'm generally cooking and that takes quite a while. The distance, because, well, they're a set distance away from me, away from the counter and away from the food. And also the, so what did I say, the distractions, because I'm moving around and I'm carrying food and I'm going back and forth from the oven and all the rest of it. So they've got that distraction to deal with as well. Okay, so the next one, as I say, that's the down stages for beautiful Mocha. Look how gorgeous he is. I'll probably use Ava or Freddie, who are a little further forward than this. You're such a good boy. Yes, you are. Well, good dog. Okay guys, thanks for watching.